Hey everybody, it's Will at VIP Mortgage, and it's time for your local lender update. One thing I want to say up front is I am summarizing a whole lot of information, a whole lot of analysis that goes back almost a couple of decades, not based on just current conditions. Of course, we have to take those current conditions into effect. So if you want a bigger picture analysis of what's going on, or you want to talk about the economy and all the chicken littles that have been running around lately, I'd be happy to do that. Give me a call, 719-232-7553. But for today's purposes, what do we need to know? First, oil shocks are not a surprise to the United States in their military action in Iran. We know this because President Trump has been talking about his bias towards getting control over world oil supplies since before he was elected the first time. Second, he's already put pieces in place to help mitigate that, not just militarily, but financially, which are major moves that will upset the global economic order, possibly in a long-term, more stable direction. Third, international partners also anticipated it and are doing their best to mitigate it. Will any of those strategies work? We don't really know. So what's happened on the bond market since the war in Iran kicked off? There was one day of major shocks. That was last Monday. And since then, the moves on the market have been very, very small, even though they have been generally negative. Two, there's not a big shock on the bond market today, even after more concerns about the oil market over the weekend and predictions that oil would be another 50% higher than it actually is. So it looks like, at least for now, those strategies are working to hold the price of oil down in the short term. So if they can unclog the Straits of Hormuz and let oil start flowing, that will stabilize things. Three, when the Straits of Hormuz are open, however long that takes, it's going to take another week to 2 weeks to a month for oil supply to return to normal, simply because they had to shut off the oil to prevent other problems. And that takes a while to ramp back up. So right now, what I've been saying about mortgage rates is holding true. I've been saying since November that rates are going to stay roughly in the trading range they've been in since November, with the potential of another improvement coming. That still holds true, and we're almost to the end of the first quarter, and that's exactly where we are. It may be much harder to get that next improvement with the ongoing conflict, even though the economic fundamentals in America do support a bias toward further improvement, and that centers on job numbers, like I've been saying for a long time. As further evidence of that, now we have Fed members saying we need to be way more aggressive on cutting the Fed funding rate, because the job numbers are doing exactly what I said they've been doing, which is getting worse and being revised downward after we get the original numbers. It may sound like a broken record at this point, but my analysis is based on what's been happening over the past 2 years, not just the current reports. So what do we expect from here? Well, expect the unexpected. War is unpredictable, and that's why it's ridiculous for people to be taking a victory lap or predicting doom and gloom at this point. Two, I think the opportunity for a significant change, something that might really get a home buyer's attention as far as rate improvement, is probably toward the end of March or even in the second quarter. And then the current conflict raises questions about how long that's actually going to take. Three, prices are pretty good right now. Home value prices are good. We are seeing more contracts being initiated. We are seeing more inventory, both nationally and locally. And that's because the real estate market by itself has shifted into a different kind of market that it has been for the last 3 years, and rates dipping around 6% have really helped that. And so anybody who's looking right now is a really good time to get a handle on their particular numbers, as long as they are financially sound enough for everything to not go perfect if they buy a home. If there's anything I can do for you, give me a call. If you want more information, if you want a big, long analysis that goes back to books that I read 15 years ago, I'm happy to share it. But for now, hopefully this helps settle the heartburn and give you a clearer view of what's going on.